October 14, 1941. Rotterdam, occupied Netherlands. Morning arrives without ceremony. Fog drifts in from the Maas River, carrying the smell of coal smoke and damp brick. Boots echo against cobblestones as German sentries change shifts, their rifles catching the weak light. In the command buildings along the quay, telephones ring, papers slide across desks, and confidence settles in like a second uniform. Inside one of those rooms, pushed slightly away from the windows, sits a man no one waits for. He is not young, not old. His jacket hangs correctly, but without distinction. His name is typed neatly on a file tab that rarely leaves the cabinet. He speaks softly when spoken to at all. In a city trained to obey loud certainty, his silence has made him invisible. He studies maps. Rotterdam is pinned and penciled into orderly grids. Harbor defenses here, patrol routes there, artillery arcs drawn with mathematical assurance. Everything looks prepared. Everything looks final. And yet, the man notices what others do not: the margins, the assumptions, the parts of the map that rely not on observation, but habit. The German occupation administration prides itself on efficiency. Reports arrive daily, stamped, signed, stacked. Reconnaissance summaries from Luftwaffe flights, coastal defense updates, logistics forecasts. The machinery of command hums perfectly. Too perfectly. The problem is not what is written. It is what is missing. The man has been trained to notice absence. Before the war, he had worked quietly: intelligence analysis, pattern recognition, the slow work of seeing what hides between lines. Now, under occupation, that skill has become dangerous. Not because it is wrong, but because it contradicts certainty. He notices that patrol timings no longer match dockworker rhythms. That troop movements assume sabotage will come from expected quarters. That defenses point outward, toward threats that announce themselves, while the city's true vulnerabilities lie closer, softer, unguarded. He clears his throat during briefings. Once, twice. His voice does not carry. Rank fills the room like smoke. Men who have survived Poland, France, the early triumphs of the Reich, speak with inherited authority. Rotterdam is quiet, they insist. The resistance is fractured. The harbor is secure. The man returns to his desk. At night, Rotterdam is a city holding its breath. Blackout curtains swallow streetlight. Barges knock gently against moorings. Somewhere, a radio murmurs behind a wall. The man walks home alone, counting steps, memorizing faces, listening. Silence, he knows, is not peace. It is pressure. In his small apartment, he spreads notes across the table. Not official reports, those are locked away, but scraps. Observations. Times when the city moves differently than expected. A patrol that never quite arrives on schedule. A tram conductor who looks twice at certain cargo. A dock gate that opens more often than regulations allow. None of this proves anything. Not yet. But war is not lost through proof. It is lost through assumptions. October turns colder. The harbor traffic thickens. German command grows louder, more assured. Plans are discussed for future operations, for tightening control. No one asks the quiet man what he thinks. That, he realizes, is the danger. Institutions fail not when they lack information, but when they decide they already know enough. He submits a memorandum. Carefully worded, respectful, highlighting inconsistencies, suggesting a review of defensive priorities. It returns 2 days later with a red mark in the margin. Noted. Nothing changes. The man feels something shift inside him, then not anger, not fear, but clarity. Silence, once a shield, has become a liability. His restraint, his adherence to procedure, is no longer neutral. It is complicit. Outside, Rotterdam waits. Occupied, subdued, but not empty. Beneath the stillness, the city moves. And if command continues to listen only to itself, it will miss the moment when quiet turns catastrophic. The man folds his map, extinguishes the lamp, and sits in the dark a while longer than usual. Somewhere between obedience and defiance, a line is forming. He knows that once crossed, there will be no recognition, no safety, only consequence. And yet the city sleeps tonight because someone is watching what others refuse to see. For now, he remains unheard, but silence, like pressure, does not dissipate on its own. Script title: The Spy Who Spoke Without Permission. Script, approx. 1,000 words, November 3rd, 1941. Rotterdam. Above a shuttered bakery, on a side street, it smells faintly of burned sugar and damp flour. A single window glows after curfew. The light is low, shaded, careful. From the street, it looks like nothing. From inside, it is everything. The room is small. A table, 2 chairs, a map pinned to the wall with mismatched tacks. This is not an office. It is a refusal. The man arrives alone, changing routes each night. He removes his coat, listens for footsteps below, then begins. Papers emerge from hidden pockets. Notes written in cramped, deliberate script. Times, names, patterns. He has been told to stand down. After his memorandum went nowhere, a superior pulled him aside, not unkindly. There was no threat, just a reminder. Intelligence flows upward. Initiative creates confusion. Order wins wars. The man nodded. He always nods. Then he disobeyed. He understands something the system cannot admit. Information does not wait for permission. Neither does danger. His first contact is a dock worker who has learned which crates are heavier than they should be. The second is a tram conductor who notices which passengers never show tickets. Then a widow, living alone near the river, whose binoculars were once her husband's. She watches at dawn, when soldiers believe no one is awake. None of them think of themselves as heroes. They think of themselves as tired, as careful, as unwilling to let strangers decide their city's fate. The man listens. He does not command. He collects. Each fragment is harmless alone. Together, they begin to form a map no official chart contains. Routes that shift. Signals passed through ordinary gestures. Quiet coordination that bypasses checkpoints and paperwork. The risk is constant. Every knock on the door tightens the chest. Every whisper could be overheard. The penalty for unauthorized intelligence gathering is not demotion. It is disappearance. He works anyway. Short nights. Long days. The bakery below remains closed, its windows papered over, its ovens cold. Above it, Rotterdam's invisible nervous system comes alive. Information moves hand to hand, glance to glance. The man redraws the city, not as command sees it, but as it breathes. He sends reports through unofficial channels. Some never arrive. Some are returned unread. A few, he knows, are intercepted. Each transmission is a gamble with no witnesses. What drives him is not defiance for its own sake. It is inevitability. The patterns he sees are converging. Defensive assumptions are misaligned. An operation, he cannot yet name it, will exploit that blindness. If he stops now, the city falls. There is a moment, late one night, when he almost burns everything. The pressure becomes too heavy. The responsibility too large for one quiet man in a borrowed room. He stands over the stove, papers in hand. Then he remembers the widow's careful notes. The dock worker's hesitation before speaking. The conductor's trembling hands. Silence would betray them all. So he keeps going. By December, something shifts. German patrols adjust unexpectedly. A shipment is rerouted at the last moment. An exercise is postponed. No explanation is given. The man does not celebrate. He knows better. Success in intelligence rarely announces itself. It arrives disguised as coincidence. He sends one final report clear, precise, unadorned. A warning. Not dramatic. Just inevitable. Then he waits. Waiting is the hardest part. No control. No confirmation. Only the knowledge that he has spoken when told to be silent. Outside, winter presses in. Rotterdam holds doubt, and somewhere within the machinery of occupation, doubt has been quietly introduced. Script title: The City That Survived Without Knowing Why. Script: Approx. 1,000 words. January 8, 1942. Rotterdam wakes to fog and frost. The harbor is intact. The streets stand. No sirens. No columns of smoke. Just another morning under occupation. Heavy but unchanged. German units move differently now. An operation has stalled. Plans adjusted. Resources redirected. Official explanations circulate: weather delays, logistical constraints, higher priority fronts. The paperwork absorbs the anomaly, smooths it into forgettable language. The city never learns how close it came. The man receives no acknowledgement. His room above the bakery goes dark. The widow returns her binoculars to the drawer. The dockworker unloads crates as before. Life resumes its careful rhythm. In headquarters, files are reorganized. Reports archived. The unauthorized intelligence stream is quietly terminated, not with punishment, but with erasure. It is easier that way. History prefers clean lines. Clear victories. Named heroes. This story has none of those. The man continues his work, officially now, back within sanctioned boundaries. He speaks less than ever. He understands what has happened. The danger passed not because command listened, but because it adjusted without admitting why. His contribution dissolves into outcomes with no author. Years later, Rotterdam will rebuild. Streets will widen. Buildings will rise. Plaques will commemorate destruction, not prevention. Children will walk these roads unaware that survival was once a question balanced on disobedience. The man will age quietly. His files will yellow. His name will appear nowhere public. When he dies, there will be no ceremony. But the city will still be here. That is the paradox of invisible victories. They leave no scars, no gratitude. Only absence of catastrophe, of mourning, of memory. And perhaps thaw.